Pollination. Let's know about flower and its importance. Parts of a flower: unisexual and bisexual flowers. Pollination. Types of pollination. Agents of pollination. Flower and its importance. A visit to a flower garden during springtime gives us an opportunity to see various activities of insects around the important part of a plant, the flower. Often bees are seen buzzing and moving from flower to flower. Butterflies, hoverflies, beetles, etc. are seen doing the same thing silently. At times we may even see hummingbirds visiting different flowers. These birds and insects are attracted to a sweet liquid called nectar inside a flower. The nectar helps them grow and even lay eggs. In return, these animals help the plant too. As they move from one flower to another, they help in transfer of a dusty substance called pollen from the male part anther of a flower to the female part stigma of same or different flower. This is the beginning of sexual reproduction in plants. Parts of a flower. Flower, also known as blossom, is the reproductive part of a flowering plant. In addition to being vibrantly colored, producing nectar and sweet fragrance, and thus attracting many insects and birds, they play an important role in plant reproduction. Let us study the different parts of a flower in detail. A typical flower may be divided into four distinct whorls, namely calyx, corolla, androecium, and gynoecium. Calyx and corolla are called the accessory whorls of a flower, whereas androecium and gynoecium are called the reproductive whorls. Calyxium. It is the outermost whorl of a flower, which consists of leaf-like structures called sepals. The chief function of sepals is to protect the flower in its bud stage. Sepals that are mostly green helps in making food too. Corolla. This whorl is present above the sepals whorl and consists of brightly colored, leaf-like structures called petals. They may often be of more than one color and produce sweet fragrance to attract pollinating agents such as bees and bats. Androecium. It is the third whorl of a flower that consists of a collection of stamens. Stamens are the male reproductive parts of a flower. Each stamen has a long slender stalk called filament and a lobed anther. The anther produces dusty pollen grains which contain the male reproductive cells. Gynoecium. This whorl is usually located at the center of a flower. It consists of one or more female reproductive parts called pistil or carpels. A pistil may be divided into three parts: a sticky stigma which catches the pollen grains, a long stalk-like style, and a swollen ovary. The ovary holds the ovules or eggs that contain the female reproductive cells. After fertilization, the ovary changes into the fruit and the ovules change into seeds. The seeds, when germinated, produce baby plants. Unisexual and bisexual flowers are the reproductive structures of a plant. Unisexual and bisexual are the two types of flowers found among flowering plants. They are also called incomplete and complete flowers respectively. The main difference between a unisexual and a bisexual flowers is that in unisexual flowers both male and female reproductive organs are found in different flowers. Examples of such flowers are papaya, watermelon, and corn. Whereas in bisexual flowers both the male and the female reproductive parts are found in the same flowers. Examples of such flowers are mustard, hibiscus, and rose. Pollination. If you visit a garden or a park, you will notice that bees go from one flower to another trying to gather nectar from the flowers. As the bee passes from flower to flower, the pollen from the anther of a flower sticks to the bee's body parts and gets transported to the stigma of the same or another flowers, thus causing pollination. Pollination is the transfer of pollen grains from anther to the stigma through various pollinating agents. Types of pollination. Pollination in flowers may be of the following two types: self-pollination and cross-pollination. Self-pollination. It is the type of pollination in which pollen grains are transferred from the anther of a flower to the stigma of the same flower or to another flower of the same plant. Tomatoes and rice are examples of flowers that show self-pollination. Cross-pollination. It is the type of pollination in which pollen grains are transferred from the anther of one flower to the stigma of another flower of a different plant of the same species. Pumpkins and plums are examples of flowers that show cross-pollination. Do you know 1. In the US, the annual benefit of managed honey bees to agriculture was estimated as $14.6 billion in the year 2002. The bad news is that over 250 of our insect pollinators are in danger of extinction. 3 insects pollinate our crops and help provide 1 in every 3 mouthfuls of our food. Without them, we wouldn't have chocolate or many other vegetables, fruits such as strawberries, apples or grape seeds and nuts. 4 beetles pollinated the first flowers at the time of the dinosaurs more than 140 million years ago. Agents of pollination or pollinators. Pollination usually occurs naturally and most often it is due to insects, birds, and small mammals. The bright attractive colors of flowers along with strong scent produced by them play a role in attracting them. Apart from these, flowers may also be pollinated by water and wind. These are known as agents of pollination or pollinators. Pollination by insects. Insect-pollinated flowers are large, colorful, fragrant, and rich in nectar. Insects visit the flower in search of nectar and in the process transfer pollen grains from one flower to another. Examples: sweet pea, salvia, papaya, etc. Pollination by animals. Animal-pollinated flowers mostly do not produce scent, but are brightly colored to attract the pollinators and produce large quantity of nectar. Examples: sugarbush, pollinated by mongoose; pagoda lily, pollinated by Cape elephant singes; agave flowers, pollinated by bats, etc. Pollination by wind. Pollen grains of wind-pollinated flowers are small, light, non-sticky, and sometimes even winged to be easily carried away by the wind. The stigmas are large and feathery to catch the airborne pollen grains. Examples: maize, pine, wheat, etc. Pollination by water. Water-pollinated flowers are small, colorless, odorless and nectarless, and pollen grains are produced in large quantity. In most of the water-pollinated species, pollen grains are protected by a water-resistant covering. Examples include Hydrilla, Vallisneria, pondweed, etc. Do you know the world's largest known pollinator is the black and white ruffed lemurs? They open the flowers of the traveler's palm with their fingers and push their long snouts into the open flowers to get that sweet nectar. When they do that, the flower's pollen coats their fur. The lemur then transports the pollen to other flowers and fertilizes them. In a nutshell, flower is the reproductive part of a plant. A typical flower may be divided into 4 distinct whorls, namely calyx, corolla, androecium, and gynoecium. Unisexual and bisexual are the 2 types of flowers found in flowering plants. Pollination is the transfer of pollen grains from the anther to the stigma through various pollinating agents or pollinators. Self and cross are the 2 types of pollination. Insects, animals, wind and water are the various types of pollinating agents. Keywords: nectar, a sugary fluid secreted by flowers that helps in pollination by attracting insects and other animals. collected by bees to make honey. Folds, a pattern of spiral arrangement of circles. Fragrance, a pleasant sweet smell. Fertilization, the process by which the male and the female fuse together to form a zygote or egg.